Good morning and welcome to our Sunday morning virtual service. My name is Reverend James Parker and it's just such a pleasure to be here with you today. This is just a wonderful time for us to come together to blend into the majesty of spirit and come into a reflection of our own. The daily word for today is remember. And it says, I bless the people whose lives have touched mine. Grandparents, parents, siblings, members of my extended family, teachers, friends, co-workers, every person I've known has, by his or her example, helped me feel more deeply what it means to be human. Some have encouraged my curiosity. Some have taught me life skills. Some have modeled positive attitudes and behaviors. Some have loved me fully and unselfishly. And some have helped me learn to love even when loving felt difficult. Today, I remember people whose lives have touched mine. I pause to think kindly of each one as I savor memories of time we spent together. Whether we're still in one another's lives, have lost touch, or are separated by death, I know the experiences we have shared continue to enrich our lives and deeply bless us on our spiritual journeys. And the scripture comes from the book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 9. I remember you always in my prayers. Let's take a moment and go into the silence and allow ourselves to let God do his work in us as we remember those who have touched our lives. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to our service. My name is Reverend James Parker. It's just such an honor to have you here with us. My lesson title today is Self-Transcendence, the Path to Clarity. Inner clarity is something we all seek but often struggle to find. The distractions from the outer world as well as the chatter from within our own heads can serve as a block to our truth, our vision, our power, our strength, and our future. In the Message Bible, in the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 133, it says, steady my steps so nothing malign gets the better of me. In these days and moments of darkness, boredom, and fatigue, it's hard not to get caught up in thinking negatively or making bad decisions and judgments. A Course in Miracles calls it unconscious darkness, where our story or mind becomes separated from the source, where we lose sight of the path, walk on shaky ground, or malign ourselves and others in the illusion of setbacks and stumbling blocks. Can you see any benefit in holding on to the story or darkness you created and continue to hold in your mind? Are you thinking clearly? Have you even listened to your own story lately? Habitually, many of us say things like, life is hard, I struggle, I've paid a big price, I can't afford that, my job sucks, this isn't enough, I'm tired of this, I'm sick of that, I'm too old for that, I can't take it anymore, I'll be happy when they change. Why should I give? Why me? I don't know how to forgive. Why do I have to change? I'm only human, but I've had success. Wouldn't it be better to shine the light of love and achievement on your life and circumstances instead? To turn your story into something clear and uplifting. To transform your thoughts in a story to, I'm magic. Against all odds, things opened up for me. I found a way. I am whole and complete. I am fully engaged. I make a difference. I am prosperous. My healing is on its way. Love always finds me. All things are working together for my good. Good things are coming my way right now. I am a spiritual being. I am a spiritual being. I mean, why not become aware of those negative thoughts in your story or mind and transcend them into something greater, more satisfying and rewarding? In the Bible, in the book of Acts, the Christians arrived at a very dark time. Paul was commissioned by the high priest to persecute, intimidate, and discriminate against anyone whose thoughts and beliefs were in defiance or opposition to the church's old ways of thinking, doing, or being. He took his job seriously and he carried it out very well. However, on the road to Damascus, while in pursuit of a group of Christians, he was enfolded by the light, forced to the ground, blinded, and clearly heard the voice of the Christ. 3 days later, he came to a point of transcendence and clarity where he shifted his perception, released and forgave himself for the previous mistakes, failures, pain, and suffering he acted out on himself and others. He then became open to listening and following the inner voice of spirit and went on to become one of the greatest and most revered and enlightened beings of all time. He let go of his compulsive and obsessive behavior toward others. He accepted his part in the disorder or larger scheme of things. He recognized change as a good thing and achievement. He transcended out of the old beliefs that no longer served his highest good and found clarity in recognizing something greater than himself, thus becoming clear that all negativity, dark times, fear, lack, limitation, criticism, judgment, and unforgiveness must be put away from the mind, soul, and consciousness so that something good can come forth. When contrasting and contemplating his alternating story, he said in the book of Romans chapter 8, there's no comparison between the present hard times and the coming good times. Friends, there's no comparison between the present hard times and the coming good times. He became willing to see beyond the present conditions, not focusing on the appearance of things, but finding clarity in the greater light, mission, and purpose that lie ahead. Like Paul, each of us has our own very special path to walk during this human experience. And while each path is unique, there's a familiar yearning within us all to transcend the undesirable, unfulfilling, or mundane so that we might experience higher levels of being, higher levels of thinking, higher levels of behaving, and greater outcomes. You're all familiar with the phrase, clear the way. The free dictionary online describes it as to make it possible for something to happen by removing challenges, restrictions, or resistance. To make it possible for something to happen by removing challenges, restrictions, or resistance. Let's look at 3 specific ways we can clear the way to create a self-transcendent path to clarity. This will help us put away our present negative thoughts and conditions, become available to the coming beauty and prosperity that lies ahead, and hear that inner voice that will always guide us. The first way to remove the challenges, restrictions, or any resistance from our path is shifting. You might ask, shift what? Shift your perspective. Because whatever you are looking from is what you will see. A minister decided one Sunday morning that a visual demonstration would add emphasis to his sermon. At the beginning of his talk, he placed 4 worms into 4 separate jars. The first worm was put into a jar of alcohol. The second worm was put into a jar of cigarette smoke. The third worm was put into a jar of chocolate syrup. The fourth worm was put into a jar of good, clean soil. And then he offered his sermon, during which he railed against the sin of indulgence of earthly pleasures such as alcohol, cigarettes, and chocolate, and advocated a life of good, clean living. As his finale to this fire and brimstone sermon, he reported the following results. The first worm in alcohol, dead. The second worm in cigarette smoke, dead. The third worm in chocolate syrup, dead. Fourth worm in good, clean soil, alive and wiggling. The minister, feeling pretty pumped up with this powerful vision of the sermon he had just given, asked the congregation with confidence, "So, what can you learn from this demonstration?" A little old woman in the back quickly raised her hand and said, "As long as you drink, smoke, and eat chocolate, you won't have worms." Certainly a different way of looking at the lesson. But we all have a different perspective. Yet that is one perspective, not one that the minister had, however. Eckhart Tolle said, "To recognize one's own insanity is, of course, the arising of sanity, the beginning of healing and transcendence." How does this apply for us as we look at the idea of clearing the path to clarity? Sometimes we lose sight of our thoughts, perceptions, and judgments. We lose sight of our thoughts, perceptions, and judgments, causing ourselves to fall into untruth, unreality, and illusion. Instead of affirming that you don't know what to do, what to think, or how to proceed, shift to the perspective that something within you does know, absolutely knows. Instead of expecting life to be hard, shift to the realization that the universe is conspiring for your good. Instead of thinking people are out to get you, shift your perspective to trust that with spirit you are secure, protected, and being fully supported. Instead of binding yourself for a negative ending, make plans for a positive outcome. Instead of looking at the worst case scenario, visualize a happy and satisfying result. Instead of forcing your thoughts and beliefs on others or believing that things will go wrong if it's not done your way, mature spiritually. Recognize that all is in divine order. Listen, friends, just a slight shift can make a huge difference. Huge. Therefore, changing your perspective can clear away the debris, blocks, and toxins that are in the way of you walking a true path with the divine. Number 2, forgive. Forgiveness can only happen if you are first willing to shift your perspective. Ernest Holmes said, "It is only when we have completely forgiven that we can get a clearance in our own minds, for we are judged by the judgment with which we judge." We are judged by the judgment with which we judge. If we want a complete clearance of our attitudes, we must forgive everything and everyone. Whether we like it or not, or whether we accept it or not, this is one of the greatest truths of life. Not only should we forgive others, but we should equally forgive ourselves. Until we realize all of our own previous mistakes, failures, pain, and suffering, we will always find ourselves repeating them. Every year, about 1,500 hikers set out to walk the entire Appalachian Trail in a single season. Only 10% complete the 2,000 miles of challenging terrain stretching from Georgia to Maine. One reason some people drop out early is that they carry too much in their packs. One man began his hike carrying a seriously overloaded backpack. He had an iPad, a separate device with 6 recordings of bird calls, an air pistol to keep the pest away, a camera, a radio, 2 chargers, and an alarm clock. At his first stop, he was already exhausted and ready to quit when an experienced hiker helped him go through his pack to decide what to keep and what to send home. Each item was placed on a scale with the question, "Is it worth it? Do you want to carry this for the next 2,000 miles? The man discovered that his biggest problem was an accumulation of little things. Most of his extra weight was in ounces, not pounds. He didn't need half of what was in his first aid kit, nor the extra tube of toothpaste. His heavy multi-tool knife was replaced with one weighing an ounce. A metal knife, fork, spoon set gave way to a single plastic spoon. He sent home 26 pounds of unnecessary weight. Friends, during your current journey on this path, take a load off. If you have regrets over past failures, judgments about what or how things should be, or resentments towards circumstances or people in your life, you are carrying that negativity into your body temple, into your relationships, hopes, and future. It is holding you back and contaminating your good. We must practice forgiveness of self and others, clearing the way to hear the voice of God from within. Are you with me? Number 3, open. Open, which can only happen after we've had some shifts in perspective and done some forgiveness work, is clearing the way for us to be open to listening to and following the voice within. Ralph Waldo Trine, he said, "If we will but follow this voice of intuition, it will speak ever more clearly and more plainly until by and by it will be absolute and unerring in its guidance." Unfortunately, the great trouble with many of us is that we do not listen to and do not follow the voice within our own soul. And so we become as a house divided against itself. We are pulled this way and that, and we're never certain of anything. So how do we learn to listen? We practice being open to the voice of God. Just like the muscles in your body, you must exercise by listening and following, listening and following. Listening and following. So that's it. 3 ways to transcend. The first clears the perspectives that do not serve you. The second clears away hurt, anger, and resentment. And the third clears away any resistance to listening and following. Viktor Frankl said, "I do not have any set goal. My goal is self-transcendence. I always try to transcend myself. I try to become a better human being. This is my ultimate goal." Friends, self-transcendence leads to greater comfort, purpose, prosperity, and improved relationships. It also leads to an experience of the sacred that alters one's self-perception, feelings, and goals while transcending one's difficulties. It is not a lofty and unreachable goal. It is within the grasp of each of us if we put in the time and effort required to get to know and accept ourselves, fulfill our potential, and seek to be precise and clear as to who we are spiritually, so that we may transcend and rise above our challenges and thus build a better world for ourselves and others. Oli Anderson said, "I long to embrace, to include my own short life, all that is accessible to man." Today, you have an opportunity to embrace and access all the love and gifts of spirit. Simply open the channel to God by shifting your perspective while forgiving yourself and others. Listen and follow the voice of spirit, your inner voice. Release any fear on the path, spiritually and physically. Discover your higher purpose and your ideal self. Raise your vibrations by living your life in a positive and transcendent way. And lastly, steady your steps so that nothing malign gets the better of you. And if you do this, you will come forth with a new clarity, with a new power, with a new strength that will catapult you into greater love, prosperity, healing, and oneness with the divine. Friends, are you willing to do this with me today? Well, thank you all, and God bless you. Well, we've come to that time in our service where we open our hearts to give. And now that we have this opportunity, there are 3 ways that you can give. You can press the contribution button there on our website, or you can text us at 773-492-8772. Or always send us a check to 2650 West Montrose, Suite 110, Chicago, Illinois, 60618. And now as we go into this moment of clarity, into this moment of power, I want you to take that gift. I want you to hold that gift in mind and in heart. And now let us say our offertory blessing together. Divine love, richly flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful for the blessings of this day. I am grateful for the blessings on the way. And so it is. Well, friends, if you prayed that prayer with us, you are moving energy, you are moving substance. Now get yourself in line, open up, allow yourself to become receptive to the voice, to the power, to the vision of spirit, and you will receive your prosperity today. So let's take a moment now and allow ourselves to pray it into existence, to pray our gifts into fruition. Heavenly Mother, Father, everything God, thank you for coming forth today. Thank you for allowing us to give, for allowing us to do what is right. We always give back because we know that by giving back, we open the way for love, prosperity, and healing. Thank you, God, for this gift. And now that we have sent forth our gift, God, return that gift in any way you see fit, 100-fold, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Fill our bank accounts, fill our wallets. Open the way for no tragedy, no sadness, no depression. Remove any burdens, any roadblocks from our lives. God, continue to lead us, guide us, direct us. Bring forth your clarity into our world. More of you, God, less of me. More of you, God, less of me. More of you, God, less of me. And we see it happening as we give thanks and gratitude and thanksgiving in the name and very nature of Jesus the Christ. And so it is. Amen. Well, friends, thank you for coming forth in this perfect way. Remind yourself to continue to do this work. This is spiritual work. It's deep, soulful work. It'll bring forth a consciousness that will allow you to come forth in perfection, in miracles, and in blessings. And if you're joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Thank you for becoming a part of our family. Please come back. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And if by chance you're going through a hard time, if the times are really dark and you're going through some sadness, depression, if you're feeling down, if you need some inspiration, a pick-me-up, go to our website at unitychicago.org and check out some of our archives, some of our services, some of our meditations. They'll bring you forth in a more perfect way and allow you to be uplifted. And now I want to remind you that Tuesday is Election Day, so get out there and vote. It's your not only your civic duty, but it's an opportunity for you to use your right to come forth in any way you see fit. And as we continue to go forth, continue to send blessings and love, not only into our church, but also into the community and to the world, because as you send out love, it always returns to you. And I'd just like to thank you specifically for just coming forth and being with us. If you like what you see today, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it on Facebook, Instagram, on your Twitter. But allow yourself to become a part of this community by coming forth in a more perfect way. And now, become still and let us say our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Well, friends, thank you again. Have a blessed week. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. Send me your cards or letters. But in the meantime, I love you. Stay well. Stay protected. See you soon.